New Zealand expands international education horizons in push to double export value. Just 6 months into her role as Chief Executive of Education New Zealand, YENZ, Amanda Malu is spearheading a renewed push to diversify and rebuild the country's international education sector. In a conversation with the PIE, she shared her vision for expanding New Zealand's global education footprint. Amanda Malu took the helm at YENZ in October 2024, returning to the education field after a career that spanned marketing roles at the Tertiary Education Commission and leadership positions in both the vocational sector and public service. Her most recent roles included Deputy Chief Executive for Service Delivery at ACC and CEO of Wānau Awaina Plucket. Now, she brings that leadership depth to YENZ, guiding the organization through a critical phase of post-pandemic recovery and strategic growth. As Chief Executive, Malu is tasked with championing Aotearoa New Zealand as a top-tier study destination, aiming to maximize the sector's social, cultural, and economic contributions. New Zealand's broader goal is to double its international education export earnings over the next 10 years. With the sector currently generating about $3.7 billion, the target is to exceed $4.4 billion by 2027, with a longer-term ambition of returning to pre-COVID levels by 2030. It's a bold objective, very much rooted in our post-COVID recovery, which, realistically, has only just begun to gain momentum, Malu said. Signs of recovery are already visible. Government data from December 2024 shows a 24% year-on-year increase in international student numbers, with current enrollments sitting 6% higher than in 2023. University enrollments are now only 7% shy of pre-pandemic levels. One of Malu's main priorities is to broaden the international student base and reduce heavy dependence on China and India, which together currently make up half of all enrollments. Yet, while seeking a more diversified student mix, Malu still sees strong opportunities in India, particularly for New Zealand's polytechnics and institutes of technology, which are still recovering from a pandemic-induced drop in Indian enrollments. India was a focal point during a March 2025 New Zealand trade mission, which included Prime Minister Christopher Luxon and Malu herself. The delegation underscored education's central role in New Zealand's broader trade ties with India. "It was a fantastic few days for New Zealand and India," said Malu. Education featured heavily in bilateral discussions, and Malu highlighted ongoing efforts to deepen New Zealand's appeal to Indian students while strengthening long-term partnerships. Malu is applying a similar strategy in other emerging markets, citing Vietnam as a country with untapped potential. "Right now, we have about 1,700 Vietnamese students, which is relatively low, but there's huge capacity to grow," she said. The focus is on building durable partnerships and positioning New Zealand as a safe, welcoming place with established Vietnamese communities. "We need to share our story more effectively and show Vietnamese students that New Zealand is a place of opportunity," she added. Meeting alumni abroad has been especially encouraging, reinforcing New Zealand's strengths as a study destination. "Their stories are incredibly powerful," said Malu. "They're deeply connected to their time here. We just need to amplify those voices." Beyond offering a high standard of education and an exceptional lifestyle, Malu believes New Zealand's cultural approach is a key differentiator. "We're proud of our value of Manaaki, the spirit of hospitality and care. For families sending their children far from home, knowing they'll be treated like one of our own offers real peace of mind." Back home, sustaining strong public support for international education remains a top priority. YENZ's latest annual survey showed that more than 3/4 of New Zealanders back maintaining or increasing international student numbers. For the first time, respondents were asked whether New Zealand should host more international students. 41% said yes, and only 11% expressed a preference for fewer. Public sentiment remains positive, with 72% of respondents agreeing that international students benefit the country, a figure consistent with previous years. "We keep a close eye on social license," Malu said. "That's influenced the pace of our recovery, but it's likely for the best in the long run." While other countries have faced public backlash over international student numbers, New Zealand's more measured immigration approach has helped maintain public trust, though it has also slowed the pace of growth. Meanwhile, Australia's recent policy changes have prompted Education New Zealand to position the country as a more stable and attractive alternative. Malu noted a noticeable increase in web traffic from students in Australia after restrictive immigration announcements, and growing interest from education agents in Vietnam who are now exploring New Zealand more actively. With all due respect to our Australian neighbours, we're definitely highlighting the advantages of choosing this side of the Tasman, said Malu. She concluded by noting that international education remains a key part of the government's recovery strategy, but one being approached with caution to avoid sudden policy reversals like those seen in Australia and Canada. We're observing, learning, and carefully shaping our own path forward, she said.